Hi, this is Eddie Hearn, and you're watching Lights Out.
This is Faisal Khan for Lights Out, proudly sponsored by Spartans Law, and this is podcast 60 of the Lights Out Boxing Podcast. Delighted to be joined by the MVP, my good old mate Mohsin Gulsher, aka Ron.
Pleasure.
How are you, bud?
All good, mate.
Commiserations on the title race.
Yeah, well, commiserations to Asif, the biggest.
We'll get into that. Okay, let's. We're gonna rip into it.
Is he okay?
You made it home safe and sound, so that's all that matters. But obviously, before we get started, just a few quick notifications. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and share. Turn on the bell for more Lights Out boxing content. And if you want to listen to this podcast in any of the audio platforms, make sure you check out the link below. Check out our latest website. And if you need any legal advice, representation in court, check out our sponsors, the best around, Spartans Law. We've got a lot to talk about today. But before we sort of do jump into the real deep end of today's podcast, we start off with our quick fire question, which you said many weeks ago we need to bring it back. So we've brought it back. And today's quick fire question, and we want you guys to get involved in this as well, so make sure you hit your comments in the comment section. Today's quick fire question is, what is your favourite Floyd Mayweather moment in boxing? Because I've been getting so much stick from Man United fans lately, I'm going to say it's when he turned up at the Ricky Hatton press conference in Manchester with a Man United top. Rivalry aside, I just thought that was brilliant. Great way to start a fight, in my opinion. You could pick so many great moments of, in my opinion, the greatest fighter of all time. But I just feel as if that one really stood.
He was someone who knew how to get under the skin of his opponents. I think he wore a Mexican hat against Marquez, I think it was as well.
Sure did.
For me, it's his post-fight kind of interviews in ring. There have been some entertaining ones, with the one with Larry Merchant.
HBO should fire your
ass. That was brilliant. The one where Sugar Shane Mosley comes in and there has a bit of an altercation there. I know.
I don't disturb your interviews, don't disturb mine. Me and you played basketball together, don't disturb, one thing I think fans didn't rate Floyd was his presence with the mic. I thought he was a very well-spoken man, very good at his mind games. You remember that sort of online press conference with him and De La Hoya? He's had some good moments with the mic. Do you know another guy like with the mic? Is Adrian Broner. Do you see that thing I shared the other day after the Manny Pacquiao defeat when the guy from Showtime, I forgot his name, walks over to him to get his forks?
Oh, yes.
And he goes, yeah, you bring your motherfucking ass over here. These Americans, man, they got so much swagger when it comes to the mic.
Swagger, attitude, confidence, it's charisma. It's something that you don't... I mean, the only one that I saw British boxers that I really kind of enjoyed is, I've got to say, Tyson Fury. Holds his own when it comes to that kind of those kind of mind games. Nazim Hamid, when back in the day when he went over to the US, he fight fire with fire when it came to the mind games. So I think the Americans just have that little bit of more of a spark when it comes to kind of selling a fight, selling that kind of dream, that kind of performance. But
we've got a lot to talk about. Let's move on.
Yeah.
So we start off with what went down last night in Manchester. The first major show of the year in terms of British boxing. Sky Sports put on Chris Eubank Jr. versus Liam Smith in Manchester. And the unthinkable happened. Liam Smith won, which I said he would, but never in a million years did I think he would win the way he did.
Not in that fashion.
Technical knockout, he stopped.
Yeah.
Chris Eubank Jr., a guy who I've always said has got a phenomenal chin in boxing. I mean, I've always rated his chin, not really rated much more, but I just think he's always had a solid chin. But Liam Smith, I mean, when you think about it, right, it's almost impossible to think that Liam Smith, a guy that does not get the credit that he deserves, did what he did last night. And listen, fair play to Liam Smith. In my opinion, the biggest win of his career. I know he's won a world title.
And at a very crucial point in his career as well.
Because I think had he lost last night, that was it with him.
He's 34 years of age. He's been at the highest heights. He's been a world champion. He's fought the likes of Canelo. This is his ticket back into that, those players, and that kind of to sit at that table. And what a performance it was.
100%. And it definitely puts him right back in the mix at £160. But we'll talk about, obviously, what's next. But we've got to sort of...
Talk about the fight.
We've got to talk about the fight. Let's just talk about the actual overall the fight itself. I mean, it only went 4 rounds. Performance-wise, what did you make of Junior's performance?
I think the early rounds, there wasn't much in it, to be honest.
No.
I mean, I would have given round 1 to Smith. I thought, he was just a bit more solid, but nothing major. I mean, it's depends on perceptions and what the judges would have kind of awarded that for. Do you know the official scorecard?
I know he was 2-1 up on the scorecard.
But it wasn't much in it. I mean, it's subjective, but I thought Junior was really coming into the fight, into the the second and the third round. The third round was his best by far. He was using that jab really well.
Yeah. To
keep that distance, and he was very evasive with the counters. And I didn't see him getting into any major problems. But I think he was kind of just feeling the fight, just see how it goes, and then obviously find the gaps. But that 4th round.
I mean, that's all she wrote in the 4th round. I mean, I know you said that you had Junior up in the early stages of, the only stage of the fight, which is the early stage of the fight, but I thought he looked really reckless last night. The first round, I think he was getting caught quite easily. He was throwing punches which weren't landing. He had his feet planted in the same position. I have to be quite frank. I have to be brutally honest with you here, Ron. I think he underestimated Liam Smith. I mean, I know he talks about this whole 50-60% persona, but I just think he completely...
That's just gameplay, isn't it? Yeah.
I think he completely underestimated Liam Smith. And I think the whole of boxing underestimated Liam Smith last night. I mean, I said to you during the build-up, I've got Liam Smith winning this fight because I think he's a better boxer.
And you said on points as well.
But I never thought he'd do it the way he did. Some people are saying lucky punch.
Well, that's what Eubank Jr. has kind of put it. Once in a lifetime kind of punch that got him, and did it get him sweetly?
Yeah.
And it was a barrage of punches that followed in. There was a left hook in there. Uppercut kind of started the show, didn't it? And and fair play to Eubank. He was trying to kind of slip and slide, but I think he got himself in that corner. When you're in a corner like that, your movement's limited.
Too quick.
I think it was pride and ego that thought.
Do you know?
He's never experienced it.
He wasn't experienced enough to recover from a knockdown. Asif said it last night. He said he got way too quick. He reacted badly. He should have taken his time.
But let's be honest, that injury that blew up. That eye around here, that was swelling. I mean, let's just say he took his time in coming up, took a little breather, that would have surely, they would, that would have stopped the fight, at a later point. It would have blown up. His eyesight would have been, limited.
Might not have done. Eubank Jr.'s always fought, with his heart on his shoulder. He's always. I mean, regardless. Look, I even said it to Asif on the way home and goes, one thing I do rate about Eubank Jr. is he comes to. He fights. He puts everything on the line. He throws everything, including the kitchen sink. But, I mean, at 33 years of age, he's still yet to be an elite fighter, in my opinion.
Yeah. Agreed.
The only one thing that he's ever really been rated for is his chin. That's obviously been tested and that's been broken now. Where does Eubank Jr. go from here at 33 years of age and he's free to fight all at domestic level?
So that's a very good question that you raised, because after that stunning defeat, let's just put it blatantly, the Conor Benn fight goes up in smoke.
No, I disagree. But we'll get back to that.
The Billy Joe Saunders fight goes up in smoke.
No, I disagree. I'm not saying that.
Yeah, it's just
I don't think those fights go anywhere. But I think the fights with the Golovkins and the Canelos, they're gone.
Okay, we can definitely rule that off the table. Take that off the table because that was a pipe dream. And I think you're right. He was overlooking Smith. He was talking about the Golovkins and the Canelos and stepping into that. And Liam Smith, just all credit to him. He's only lost against the best. Let's be honest, like people like
Canelo, and he got robbed in Russia. In my opinion,
and that's you've got to give him his due respects for that. And I thought he was, for me, I thought the ring walks told a story in itself. That
what do you mean by that?
I think Liam Smith, when he came in, he looked happy, he looked more relaxed, he was smiling, he was enjoying it. But I don't know. I just didn't get that kind of positive, that kind of same vibe with Eubank. He just looks tense. He didn't look. Something didn't seem right.
What was that Eubank's?
Yeah, I guess so. But it just seemed a little bit more on edge, and I don't know. It just gave me that impression that it wasn't. I wasn't overly. I was supporting Eubank. He was my favorite. My favorite going into that fight, and just something didn't look right about him. He did his little kind of flips into the ring, does his kind of entrance. But it was a tentative start. Like we said, the first few rounds, not much in it. But I could see the jab was. He had a game plan. He was trying to keep that distance, get him to miss, and then and counter. In that third round, that was his best round, and I think he landed 3 or 4 uppercuts in a row there. I thought, okay, this is.
But when we talk about where he goes next, what does he do next? Now, as I mentioned, 3 defeats against 3 British domestic fighters. Every time he stepped up, there's been a defeat.
Yeah.
Best win of his career is against James DeGale, who, in my opinion, was far over the hill. Yeah. Liam Williams was a fighter we all expected him to beat, and he started off well, but he finished badly, in my opinion, when he should have got rid of Liam Williams.
The 4 drop downs, he should have him up. Yeah.
At 33 years of age, Eubank's got to ask himself, what is he fighting for now? What is the aim? What's the target? What does he want to achieve now at 33 years of age? My opinion, he's 2 years away from Golovkin and 5 years away from Canelo. Canelo's going to fight Bivol again. Canelo's going to fight Andrade. Canelo's going to look to tackle 175 pounds again. Canelo might even look to fight one of the up-and-coming British fighters. There's talks of a fight with John Ryder. I don't think Eubank Jr. Canelo happens as much as I would like to have seen that happen. I think that fight's gone a long way. Is his best answer now Conor Benn? I think so. Is another good answer Billy Joe Saunders? Before the fight yesterday, I would have said yeah. But now I say no. Because Billy Joe Saunders has got his number and he will repeat what he did to him when they first fought. A rematch with Liam Smith? Absolutely not.
Because in the post-fight interview, he did say...
Well, there is a rematch clause.
Yeah.
But I would personally keep him away from Liam Smith. Because Liam Smith was very confident of beating him. He's going to be even more confident he beats him. And bear in mind now, that fight happens
that chin check.
On Liam Smith's terms now. So it goes to Anfield. Yeah. And I'm not saying this because as a Liverpool fan, you go to Anfield as an away fight. I mean, look, they were in Manchester last
question,
night.
Has there ever been an event, boxing event? So that's going to be
special.
Even extra special there at Anfield.
50-odd thousand at Anfield, 50-odd thousand Scousers at Anfield cheering on one of their own.
And the weight as well, is there going to be at a weight that suits Liam Smith as well? Because coming to this fight, Eubank was
They're both weighed in at 159 pounds.
Naturally, Eubank was the bigger fighter, right?
I'm going to say, Ron, I think he should retire.
He's a draw.
I think he should retire. No, he's entertaining.
He's entertaining.
He's someone you want around boxing. But in terms of is he going to become a world champion? Is he going to be?
His aspirations of world champions, but he will sell out. He will still sell out. But I think that aura of him being indestructible has gone, disappeared after that defeat because we have
Well, he's never going to be indestructible. He's lost 2 fights prior to
No. In terms of, obviously, those fights were competitive losses. The one.
But he still lost all
but he's lost. No. I mean, in the sense that the way he was dismantled in that fashion, we've never seen that. We've never seen Eubank Jr. hurt in a fight. We've never seen him crumpled up. We've never seen him looked at. He's going to go down. He's taken shots. He's got a great engine. But that was something else he needs to overcome to come back.
Someone else raised a point on Twitter last night. They said that he's always messed around in terms of what weight he's fighting at 1 minute. I mean, 4 years ago against Groves, he fought 168 pounds. Against Conor Benn, I believe, is at 157. He weighed in at 157 pounds. Do you think him coming up and down in weights has been maybe played a factor in terms of going into these fights?
From what I see of Eubank Jr., I think he keeps himself in great shape. You never see him blow up.
Yeah, but we don't know what he's doing to himself in these camps.
Yeah, but he looks like he keeps a clean, healthy lifestyle. I mean, he looks like he trains hard. He's always in great shape. So I don't think that's a problem with him. He's a gym rat. From what I've heard, what I've seen, but it's all that's all good and well. But has he got the skills to match those? The the effort that he's putting into the gym. So that's where he's come short.
What does Roy Jones Jr. do with him now? I think Roy Jones Jr., they've had 4 fights with Roy Jones. He's won 3, he's won and lost 1. The 3 wins Marcus Morrison on points, the Eastern European guy in Newcastle, and Liam Williams. I wasn't impressed with either of them. I don't want to sound like I'm knocking him because I generally do like the guy. I think he's entertaining. I mean, I love his persona, but I just think there's a level of arrogance that he should not present because he's not reached that sort of pinnacle yet in his career.
No.
He's not reached that. I mean, forget his father. He's never going to reach his father's level. He's not reached world level yet, which is disappointing for me to say because
they're on the cusp of it.
Yeah,
what I mean? I know. I totally agree with you. He's not proved it when it's mattered.
So what does Roy Jones Jr. do with him now? I mean, how can you pick him up after that? Because it wasn't just a point. It was a devastating. It's the worst defeat of his career.
I think we didn't see that. He didn't see that. You know what I mean? We would nowhere have predicted that. We wouldn't have put our mortgages on that. Him getting stopped. Like we could have seen the other way around. Like Liam Smith, we would have predicted that could have got stopped. I think there's got to be a lot of soul searching. I mean, he's got to lick his wound. He's got to reevaluate what he wants to achieve in this sport. He's setting himself back a couple of years now. Let's say.
I said he's 5 years away from a Golovkin fight.
I mean, no.
Fight now. My personal.
Golovkin's, he's got 1 or 2 fights left in him. And he would have loved that. Eubank would have loved that to have been, one of those 2 fights. But obviously, he's going to be like, you know what, bigger fish to fry. I don't know. I don't know. I'd like to see him again. I think he's entertaining. I loved the build-up. I thought he was great. But he just came against a very classy operator in Liam Smith, who was solid. Who we massively underestimated.
Not me.
Yeah. I mean, generally, the public was. We were sold by. I was sold by this saute. I'm gonna.
Filet mignon style.
Yeah, and. I mean, I saw Billy Joe Saunders' cheek. That was hilarious. I saw Conor Benn, having a dig. All these are coming out there. But let's just put things into perspective. The last 18 months in Eubank
100%.
have been, what I mean? We wouldn't, he's been through. He's lost his brother. His father's had, issues with his mental health. And he's come across now this to make it.
The Conor Benn thing must have taken its toll on him as well.
Of course, you train and you've gonna
kill yourself to
get to that weight, and for it to be called off at that last very moment, and then this defeat. So he's not.
It's a test of character now for you, Eubank.
It really is. I'd like to see him back because I think there's fights out there for him, but not probably where he wants to be. He was, he'd be like, won this fight. We'd be, he'd be thinking, right, get on to Golovkin's manager. Let's get that sorted, or let's, there's
on the Charlos. Maybe look back at the Conor Benn fight.
Yeah,
it's a shame. What does Liam Smith do next, Ron? There's talks of Kell Brook.
But I think at the moment, Kell Brook, that's an interesting one. I didn't see that one coming out. We were here a year ago and we were like saying, yep, Kell Brook. Here you go, off into the sunset. You've got your biggest payday.
But Ben Shalom says he's hungry to come back.
Hungry? What is he? 36? He's had had 2 orbital breaks.
He's been out of the ring for a year as well.
He's been out for the ring for the year. And after that, performance that Liam Smith put on last night.
Yeah.
Do you want a piece of that?
Probably not.
Do you really want a piece of that? This is someone fresh. I wouldn't. Liam Smith's great. He's not going to say no to it.
I'd like to see Liam Smith against one of the Charlos next.
I
believe it's Jamal who's at 154, 160. I'd like to see that fight
We
next.
need to see the Charlos fight. Someone has no.
I still think Golovkin probably has the edge over Liam Smith right now. I still think Golovkin beats him. No disrespect to Liam Smith. I highly rate Liam Smith, but I still think Golovkin's at 160 pounds is still the man. And you have to say that he's got 2 or 3 of the belts at the division. I'd like to see him against one of the Charlos or Costa Zoo's boy.
Oh, Tim Tszyu, yeah.
I'd like to see one of those 2 fights. But listen, we talk about Eubank Jr. We want hats off to
Liam Smith, absolutely.
Liam Smith. And congratulations to his family, great boxing family to come from. Liam, Callum, Paul, Peter Smith, all the Smith brothers, and have all achieved achieve so much.
You know what? It was sad to see. I mean, you mentioned the Smith brothers there. I mean, it seemed that Eubank Jr. was on his own. You know, he was kind of up against the Smith brothers.
But
Dad wasn't there.
Yeah, but do you know what, Ron? It's boxing, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they're a proud family. They're a very tight-knit family as well.
And it was good to see. I think it was Joe McNally came in, when
and
just grabbed him and said, "Look, lad."
Fair play to Joe McNally, done that.
You know what? And I think let common sense prevail here, mate.
Yeah.
We know you're a tough SOB. But
he's got nothing to prove in terms of his heart and how tough he is, because he's a tough.
He was on his feet. He was on his feet, and he wasn't. And he said he was respectful of the referee's decision, and I think it was absolutely a right call. And his legs went there. Wow! I mean, this is something he's.
Guys, let us know what you think Chris Eubank Jr. should be doing next, and also.
Can we do a poll?
Do a poll, man. Set a poll up already on our Instagram. Links are below in the description, and what you guys think Liam Smith should do next. Let's move on. Talk a bit about the rest of the card. Jose Parker beat Jack Massey via a points decision. It was Jack Massey's first fight from moving up from cruiserweight to heavyweight. It was a 10-round fight. I've got to say I wasn't impressed.
No.
I think this was the perfect opportunity to sort of lay down a marker to say to the rest of the heavyweight division, I'm not going anywhere just as of yet. And Jack Massey, fair play to him, got through the fight. Never expected Jack Massey to win, because that's a tough test to take a former world champion in your first fight at a new division. But Jose Parker, what is the problem, Ron?
I don't know. I mean, it just wasn't good enough. I mean, it was a big disappointment, that performance there. I think we were expecting him to blow him out. That didn't happen, But full credit to Massey for kind of sticking in there, doing his boxing. But let's not deny it that he won comfortably. Jose Parker. He wasn't at any point of trouble. But that heavyweight division that we've spoken about on several occasions is hotting up. There's all these young, pretenders coming in. We've got Joey Joyce, who's overtaken Jose Parker. You've got Andy Ruiz and Deontay Wilder. They're fighting off now. You're probably thinking as a promoter, like, this would be a good tick-over fight. You'd probably pick.
I think that's a shame to look at Jose Parker. Like, I'm not saying you saying that's. I think it's a shame.
I agree.
He's a former world champion. He's lost to 3 of Britain's best. I think the problem with Jose Parker is that ever since he's come to England to sort of prevail his career to go to the next stage, he's been found out massively. I can't remember who it was.
He's done himself. He's done himself credit as well.
He's former world champion. He went the distance with Joshua. Was involved in a barnstorm.
That was the first time Joshua went the distance as well.
He's involved in a cracker against Dillian White.
That could have gone either way as well.
Before getting knocked down, he showed a ton of heart against Joe Joyce. I just think with Jose Parker, right? I think Johnny Nelson said it yesterday. You don't want to see him become a gatekeeper. And when you mentioned the rest of the card, Frazier Clarke, who also fought last night, put on a very good performance against Frazier Clarke. Frazier Clarke said that he'd love to fight him next, or in 12 to 15 months' time. This is no no disrespect to Frazier Clarke, who's still young in the professional side of the game. Obviously, he's been around the amateurs for a very long time, but if Frazier Clarke is confident of beating you right now, and you're a former world champion, and you've been a professional for a very long time, then what do the other fighters think?
How old is Jose Parker? What is he?
30s.
He's in his early 30s, right? He's not like over the hill.
What do you do with him next day? He's beaten Chisora twice. Deontay Wilder would annihilate him. A rematch with Dillian White goes one way.
Daniel Dubois.
See, I was thinking about this last night.
Daniel Dubois needs someone who can give him.
He's fought on the Queensberry show before against Joe Joyce, so it wouldn't be a difficult fight to make. Daniel Dubois got a WBA regular heavyweight title.
Thinking that.
I was actually thinking that last night. Great minds think alike. We should.
We've got someone like Fabio Wardley kind of coming into it all as well. That maybe in a fight or two's time, that could be a fight. He's in around the in the UK, so he's going to have these UK-based fights. So I don't think he's going to be fighting. Yeah, it's and I'm don't want to be disrespecting him, because I've got to give him props for being the first, I think, New Zealander to win the heavyweight champion from that continent. So when he beat Andy Ruiz, I think it was. But
Andy Lee's putting a lot of hard work with him.
Yeah, and also, he's a sparring partner for Tyson Fury as well. Tyson Fury speaks highly of him. So, he's not going to have any bum around in his camp. He's going to have people who will give him some good work.
We talk about the rest of the cardos. We mentioned Frazier Clarke won last night. You kind of got to sort of compare it to Joe Joyce when he first became a pro. I believe he's at the age of 33 years of age. And I think at the start of his career, a lot of people weren't impressed. But now you have to consider Joe Joyce as one of the best heavyweights in the world with how good he's got over sort of like the last few years. I mean, that destructive win over Joseph Parker.
The way,
win against
the manner of that performance, yeah.
And the win over Daniel Dubois. Frazier Clarke started in the pro games a bit later than Joe Joyce. But it's kind of similar because they were amateurs for a very long time. Could we have another Joe Joyce on our hands with Frazier Clarke run? Or do you... have you still not seen enough?
I've not made, it's still early days for Frazier Clarke. I haven't seen anything. If you compare him to, he's been in boxing for a long period of time. We'd expect him to be kind of blowing these lower opponents away, but he's not had a real test yet. So someone that's going to really push him back. So, and unfortunately for him, he's had late pullouts as well of opponents. So he's had to fight these kind of, what do you call them, cab drivers. So
one of them we only fought because he was getting a free ticket to Carnbrook.
Oh dear, yeah. So, he's going to be. I think what they need to do with him is keep him busy this year.
Yeah, 100%.
I think at least 4 or 5 fights. I listened to a podcast the other day with him, and he goes, "Look, I just want dates. To say this is it." I think he's going to go again in March.
I like the David Allen fight with Frazier Clarke.
Dave Allen, I can't keep up with him, man. Is he retired? Is he not? He's retired 3 times now. I
like Frazier Clarke, David Allen. I think it's a good fight to make. Maybe not yet, but somewhere at the end of the year, get Frazier Clarke in a big test.
Yeah.
Somewhere at the end of
what
the
about
year.
Frazier? I like the Frazier Clarke and Fabio Wardley or Nathan Gorman. That's another one. Nathan Gorman versus Big Fraze. That's the one I would really look at because they're both at really interesting points in their careers. Gorman coming off that defeat.
Just to touch on the rest of the card as well, Richard Riakphore with a knockout victory against Blavatsky. I'm really becoming a massive.
You're jumping on the board on the train.
I'm on the midnight train, mate, and I'm on the. I like the whole Crystal Palace theme song entrance before the fight. I honestly think Sky Sports have done a brilliant job with him so far. I'm so pleased for the guy, man. I mean, he's a really nice, humble person as well. Met him loads of times at press conferences, weigh-ins during fight weeks, and etc. etc.
He's come into late into boxing, hasn't he?
Yeah. I'm glad he pulled out the world champions last night.
But he's not like him. He's not done that before.
But he's at a stage now where
I'm coming for you all.
Exactly. You've beaten enough meat.
Yeah.
I mean, Glowacki's a former world champion. It's the same opponent Coley beat to win his world title. I think this has to be the year where he gets a world title shot. And I know Billam Smith got in the ring with him after the fight. They talked about potential another fight between them two. But
he lost. Billam Smith has lost. He beat Billam Smith, didn't he?
Yes. I think Riakphore Cody's is a great fight to make. Two of London's finest, 2 undefeated British.
That's if Coley doesn't move over to the heavyweight division. So
no, I don't think. No, well, obviously he's got that mandatory defence which he's got to take at some point. I think. Listen, 2 top cruiserweight fighters, 2 British cruiserweight fighters from London. I think that's a great fight, and we know the rumours are Cody's looking to sign with Sky Sports. Riakphore's with Sky Sports and Boxer. It's an easy fight to make. I'm becoming a huge fan of the Midnight Train.
He's a clinical performer.
He's a good fighter. He's got a lot of
to do that with someone who's who's fought for world titles.
Yeah.
And and he did it. It was like a really good kind of sort of combination that he threw to finish him off, and I was like, really impressed. And
Ekow Essuman also retained his British and Commonwealth titles against Chris Congo. I had the fight as a draw.
I agree.
Bit harsh on Chris Congo. I don't think he's finished strong enough. He started off very well, but a good performance from Ekow Essuman. Retaining those belts. Conor Benn, is that a fight? Essuman Conor Benn, because listen, Conor Benn. I don't want to go into the whole situation that he's been involved in lately, but I think Eubank Jr will take the rematch with Liam Smith. Conor Benn, they're not going to put him in with a Spence or a Crawford or a Ortiz or a Boots Ennis. I think I would personally look to get Conor Benn a British title, but don't rule out Ekow Essuman. Still undefeated, British champion, Commonwealth champion. He's beaten all these fighters around him. Firstly, thoughts on the performance, and then
I thought it was a really good fight. A really solid, good welterweight division, and it's good. Both really good boxers.
Yeah.
I thought it was a draw. I felt really kind of sad for Chris Congo.
I had it as a draw, but if I had to slightly edge it someone, I would have edged it to Essuman because I think he finished off stronger. You know,
you did have him on the ropes at one point, Chris Congo. So
Ekow Essuman's a fighter that, in my opinion, needs to be pushed by a promoter now. I mean, he's been around long enough. He's still undefeated.
What I really liked about Ekow Essuman is his engine, man.
Oh, he's got a phenomenal engine.
You know what I mean? Like thinking that this guy, you know, what is it? Duracell batteries he's running on. I mean, he was phenomenal. You know, that kind of the work that he was doing inside and out.
Does he beat Conor Benn? Do you want to see that fight happen? I personally would love to see that fight happen.
No, I think they'll probably go in a different direction. I think they're probably looking more international at the moment because, you know, Bond's done the European, done the, you know, that kind of stage. I mean, you know, Conor Benn was calling out Gervonta Davis a little while back. You know what I mean? It's a higher profile that he's got now. Ekow Essuman, Avanesian. That's a fight. Yeah, that's a fight.
Coming off the back of a world title defeat.
There you go. So there you go. So that could be right. Here you go, mate. This is a step up now, or a rematch with Chris Congo because I don't think there was much in it, but I think they will do that.
McKinson versus Essuman. I like that.
McKinson, yeah.
I mean, obviously one defeat against Virgil Ortiz, but a very good fighter, a very underrated fighter. He's beat Chris Congo. I like McKinson. I think he's one of Britain's finest fighters. Got a very awkward.
He doesn't get much
technique.
Yeah, he doesn't get much credit or much, you know, much attention.
He put up a good fight against.
Gave a good account.
So,
yeah, agreed.
I mean, there's so many fights out there to make, but I do like Essuman versus Congo. But I think Essuman versus Avanesian. Ron, you're coming out with some good fights today, man.
Yeah,
I mean, hidden secrets. You know, need to take you along to meet Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn one day. All right, but overall, out of 10, what did you rate the card last night? I give it a solid 7.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, some really decent fights on that. No female boxing on that for once, so
bit of a shame.
Yeah, so but you know, female boxing's been on the rise. I mean, I think last week we had bit of the YouTube boxing again. What was it? Misfits, was it?
Misfits boxing, yeah.
But
well, seeing as we're on the subject, KSI kind of is the king at the moment of Misfits boxing, YouTube / celebrity boxing. I mean, I'm sure you've watched the fight. I'm sure you've watched highlights. I mean, is KSI a boxer? Do you rate what you've seen so far?
Oh, I mean, that was a good finish. It was very shoot boxing. Was it shoot fighters? I mean, it reminded me of Michael Venom Page, that kind of finish that he did. You know, yeah. But look, look at the level of opposition. This is a guy that kind of stepped in last minute. You know,
because
Dylan Dennis, who would have been a good. I don't know what he would have been. What he's like. Yeah. So and he couldn't make weight. He didn't. You know, it's just a bit disappointing. And then I think the fans lose out on good fights. KSI, what's his future fights? I mean, he's looking at Joe Fournier, isn't he?
And
Jake Paul. That's another one.
We're on that topic now because the rumours are February 25th in Saudi Arabia, Jake Paul will take on Tommy Fury. Apparently it's a done deal.
25th, isn't it?
25th of February in Saudi Arabia. God help the Saudis because they like to keep it clean and professional, and I can't see that press conference being clean and professional, especially if Big John Fury is there. Fight's been made twice. It's been postponed twice. Third time lucky. Do you believe it's going to happen now?
It's better to, you know what I mean? Like, otherwise, don't kind of keep on leading us on and into this potential fight.
Well, me and you had a bit of a debate last night, and then at the end I kind of had to say, let's just wait till the podcast. You think Jake Paul beats him? I mean, I'm on John Fury's level now, right?
Okay.
Get your facts straight or get off the job, which is what you said to Conor Frampton.
Yeah.
How does a YouTuber beat a Fury? Why?
Okay, look at Jake Paul. He's been more active.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Against
whoever he has fought. When's the last time Tommy Fury's actually had someone worthwhile, competitive? I mean, the people he has fought have got a lot more defeats in their record than their wins. You know, he's not.
Stages of
I mean, look, I mean, how long has he been? He's been in boxing for how many years?
2018 was his debut.
Yeah, I mean, he's not. I mean, that's what 5 years ago, and he's not fighting frequently enough. I just think Tommy Fury is hanging off his brother's name. You know, I mean, that's been for far too long. But I hope he proves. You know, he does prove it wrong for the sake of boxing. I mean, that's what you're thinking.
I mean, he wasn't for his own sake because his family will.
For the sake, I mean, what did Tyson Fury say? He can stay in Saudi if he loses.
He also said when the fight got made for a second time, if he loses, he has to give up the Fury name. But
he's not looked good at all in his fights.
He hasn't.
Well, you know?
But as you look, I mean,
he's not taking.
Do I rate Tommy Fury as a boxer? No, because I've not seen enough of him. You know, I like to think because he's got the Fury name and because I hope he's got the Fury heart. I want to give him that bit of benefit of doubt. But you're going to know more about him when he fights Jake Paul because, as Eddie Hearn said, and I'll agree with him, Jake Paul is average. And it's not bad to be average if you're Jake Paul.
In a professional sport like
boxing.
But
let's not take the fucking piss here, man. He's not for a boxer, right? Tyson Fury Jr. didn't fight for whatever reason. He beat Anderson Silva, 52-year-old Anderson Silva. You know, he got troubled by Tyron Woodley in their first fight. I just think, right, I mean, okay, so in my opinion, I don't think Tommy Fury will ever win a world title. That's no disrespect to Tommy Fury.
Okay, let me ask you, does Tommy Fury win a British title?
Right now, no.
No.
But Tommy Fury's been
Does he win a Southern area title?
Yes, he does. Well, it'd have to be a Northern because...
Northern, of course, yeah.
Tommy Fury's been around boxing his whole life, okay? He's looked up to his brother who's the best heavyweight in the world right now, okay? He's been in training camps. I'm pretty sure with his family's background, he's been born to be brought up to be a fighter, taking on nonsense.
I appreciate that, yeah.
Jake Paul grew up making YouTube videos, and that's no disrespect to him because what we do, we're a YouTube outlet as well. I've got no disrespect with his side hustle or whatever it is, but there's a difference between a natural fighter and a guy that's just come into boxing at a later stage in his life. And I feel as if Tommy Fury will show the difference in class when they do fight each other. That's if they fight each other.
Yeah, but Tommy Fury's not taking boxing seriously. You know, he's not got...
He's made money outside of boxing, Love Island. He's got a kid on the way.
That's what I'm saying. You know, he's not looked like he's eating... I mean, look at Tyson Fury. He eats, sleeps boxing. You know what I mean? Of course, he's had his trouble.
Well, apparently he drank 5 pints before the second fight against Johnny Wilder the night before. So does he really eat, sleep?
But I mean, like, there's different levels to this. I mean,
there is.
Yeah, I mean, there was, you know, that was an issue in the lead up to the second fight. You know, the second time got postponed. That they weren't happy with him. You know, he wasn't training enough. The intensity wasn't there. For the sake of the Fury name, for the sake of boxing, he cannot afford to lose. You know, if he loses, how shameful would this be? You're right, he has grown up with it, but you know, why hasn't he fought more regularly? You know, he's a young guy. You know,
I agree.
You know, and I think, and when he has fought, he's stunk it out. You know, he has stunk it out. Yeah, I've not enjoyed it. He's not. I don't think he's got a KO on his record.
I think he's got 2.
Has he? I mean, like, against who? These are guys that have got a lot more defeats. I mean, go on BoxRec and you'll see what I mean. Not saying, okay, Jake Paul, okay.
Would you say all of this in front of his old man?
I was sat behind him once. I remember that. I remember when we went to the Tyson Fury comeback. I remember that. So, like,
would you say it in front of his old man? Or would your words be a little
If he would like my opinion, then I would be like, Mr. Fury, I would like to offer you my...
but look, it is a fight that I do want to see because there's a lot of needle between these two.
Yeah.
All right. Jake Paul wins. You say, how does he win?
On points.
I think Tommy Fury's going to knock him out.
You think so?
Yeah.
But if Tommy Fury gets his shit together, takes this seriously, if it's happening, I hope he's training in the gym right now. When we're seeing this podcast goes out live, and he's getting he's taking it seriously. Like, I agree with Tyson Fury. If you fucking lose, you're fucking staying out there.
Right, Anthony Joshua.
Yes.
Apparently to be trained by Derrick James, and his rumoured next fight is to be against Jermaine Franklin. Talk a bit about Derrick James. Currently trains Errol Spence Jr., The Truth, and one of the Charlo brothers. Interesting, because linked up with Robert Garcia, clearly hasn't gone well on that sort of ship. I don't know what Robert Garcia's involvement is. Has he walked away from him, or will Robert Garcia be involved, but in some sort of different type of capacity?
Level,
but Derrick James, I think it's a good move because you see what Derrick James has done with Errol Spence. He's made Errol Spence one of the best fighters in the world, but at 32, 33 years of age, on the back of 3 defeats out of his last 5, the last 2 in a row. I think, can anything change with Derrick James for Joshua?
I mean, the difference is with Derrick James, at least he's got these kind of... I mean, with Garcia, they went into that Usyk fight straight away in that rematch.
Yeah.
So he went into the deep end. He didn't have time to work with him, with a lesser opponent, to try out a few things, try out this, whatever they wanted to work on, footwork, be it kind of, hand speed or whatever they were looking at. But at least... with what we're rumoured to hear that he's going to fight, what was it again? Jermaine Franklin. So
done very well against Dillian White.
It was a good. I mean, I could have got that. Could have gone either way. If it went to Franklin, I wouldn't have been surprised. I would have been like, you know what,
I agree.
Dillian, you just didn't turn up.
Yeah.
And he was lucky to walk away with a win for that. I mean, at this stage of his career, from what I was hearing, that AJ was kind of on this tour in America where he was kind of visiting different gyms, kind of speaking to different trainers. He was rumoured. I thought Roy Jones, he might be, Roy Jones.
I would have loved to have seen that.
I think you mentioned about him and Ben Davison.
There was some sort of
that
rumour.
I would have found it hard to believe, but,
You said about Shane McGuigan as well, how you thought that would be a good move.
I like Shane McGuigan, yeah. Shane's a great coach, he's one of those up-and-coming coaches.
So, Derrick James, he's at 33 years of age. Anthony Joshua's now sort of down the pecking order. What is Joshua's best style? I'm going to say that we need to see if Joshua is to come back and become a 3-time heavyweight champion of the world, we need to see the Joshua that beat Dillian Whyte and beat Vladimir Klitschko. Right, I know he got put down against Vladimir Klitschko, but he showed tremendous balls by knocking out Vladimir Klitschko. That Joshua, for me, can still, apart from Tyson Fury and Alexander Usyk, still beats the rest of them. That is the Anthony Joshua we need to see. None of this tippy-tapping or...
It's a completely change of styles, isn't it?
Yeah, man. I mean, I've said this so many times, but
it was that age.
I didn't rate the second fight against Usyk. I mean, he had one good round in the second fight. It just wasn't. I don't get why people say it was a better performance.
No, it was that first defeat to Andy Ruiz that made him reevaluate. With that second fight, we were expecting.
You can't constantly go back to Ruiz.
But that's where it starts from.
The guy changed the winning formula, in my opinion, and he should never have done that. The guy is not a boxer. He's not a Tyson Fury. He's not an Usyk. He's a power puncher. That's what won him his first 23, 24 fights.
All by knockout as well. Early on,
decision with Joseph Parker.
Yeah.
I just think he needs to go back to the same Joshua that fought Dillian Whyte and Vladimir Klitschko, and that's what I'm hoping to see with Derrick James. Okay, there's a few things you can brush up on. Yes. He gets hit very easily now. I've noticed that since Andy Ruiz. Even against Kubrat Pulev, he got hit quite easily. Second fight against Andy Ruiz had a couple of moments, I believe it was in the 4th to 5th round, where he sort of gave him that warning as in, I've hurt you once, I can hurt you again. But there's a few things to brush up on, but don't make him a boxer. Make him a power puncher, which is what he naturally is.
I think he's just trying to be more calculated. I think he's trying to do it in spurts rather than... Because obviously, if you think back to that Joshua... He was there was issues of his gassing out too early.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And not just gassing out at any point, gassing out after having a good round, after scoring a knockdown.
That was it. I mean, against Klitschko, he took a few rounds off, but I think what he's done now, look back on that, he's like, actually, if I boxed a bit more smarter, kept on the back foot, let him come in, countered him, and picked my moments rather than kind of rushing in and getting caught. I think that's what's made him kind of reevaluate. Okay, I need to kind of adopt this kind of more of a. Hands up kind of style, kind of rather than this reckless kind of let me just try to punch the crap out of you kind of style.
Let's talk a bit about Jermaine Franklin. The rumours were that it was going to be Dempsey McKean, and now apparently it's a strong link with Jermaine Franklin.
I like that. I think it's a good fight with Jermaine. Yeah,
I would like to have seen the Dempsey McKean fight. Undefeated Australian fighter.
Yeah, but I think
Jermaine Franklin's got a point to prove as well.
But Jermaine Franklin's a better name. He's an American as well, so. I think it appeals more for me. Dempsey McKean.
There's more sauce in that fight.
Yeah, I mean Dempsey McKean. He's early on in his career. He's undefeated as well, right?
21-0, I think.
21-0. Not proven. And if he beats him, he's like, well, you were supposed to do that anyway. So, but against Jermaine Franklin, who will put up a more of a resistance and a bit of a test, as we saw.
And I think the beauty of this fight is Jermaine Franklin's not going to rely on the judges now, especially with what happened.
He'll come. Yeah, and he came against Dillian Whyte, and that could have been the making of him. And he walked away with a lot of credit. I mean, I think that was well due. That was for his performance.
Let's stay on the heavyweight division. Tyson Fury last night at the fight called out Francis Ngannou on an interview with Seconds Out TV, and I believe iFL TV. Shout out to those two platforms, two of the best out there. Do you know what, right? I mean, I remember I was watching it with my brothers last night. When my brother goes, the guy's just a fucking wally 9 times out of 10. You don't know what he wants. He doesn't know what he wants to. He doesn't know whether he's coming and going. You just can't really put a sort of stamp on what next for Tyson Fury. Frank Warren insists that the Usyk fight is close to being done, but I've heard that a lot of times. But it's called out Francis Ngannou, who during last week walked away, or I don't know what, but he's no longer part of Dana White's UFC. Tyson Fury said something about a potential boxing match in a cage with 4-ounce gloves on. Mike Tyson, the referee, 1 minute, 2 minute rounds. Oh, fucking hell! I mean, I can't
keep up.
It's
with
like
it,
a WWE 2K 23 PlayStation game with all these stipulations in it. But I mean, I'm gonna have to ask your thoughts about it. Would you want to see it?
Ngannou's a cash cow now, isn't he? He's a.
I'd like to see it in a boxing ring, but I don't want to see Tyson Fury in an octagon.
I think whatever Tyson Fury does, it sells. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think Dillian White's kind of jumped on that, and it makes sense because Dillian White's got an MMA background, and if they can do a crossover kind of event, that would suit both people.
Yeah.
Tyson Fury realistically has got this upcoming fight with Usyk, which we don't know if it's been confirmed. It's taken far too long. When did when did Tyson Fury beat? Who's it? Did he beat? Derek Chisora in December.
Yeah.
Why haven't we got to the bottom of it? What's taking so long to get the contract signed? That's the fight to make. They've got all the boxing organisations that said, "Yep, you're good to make it." I think the venue's been a bit of an issue there, but Tyson Fury is just kind of keeping the public entertained. Yeah, saying, "Oh, I could do this. I could fight Joy Joyce. I could fight Ngannou." He's keeping them on their toes to see what is he going to do next.
I wouldn't be surprised he enters the Royal Rumble on Saturday night, and I'll be there live in America.
You are indeed.
But no. Let's not talk about it because I'm excited enough. But look, if he was to fight Francis Ngannou in an exhibition bout in the ring, okay, fair enough. I'd be
disappointed.
I'd
be disappointed because as a boxing fan, I want that to be.
But you got to also understand, right? We don't know the sort of ins and outs behind the scenes, but I don't think this is a difficult fight to make. It's not trying to sign up Anthony Joshua to fight. It's the other guy who holds the belts in the division, who's not got an out-and-out promoter, manager, whatever. This is an easy fight to make. I've seen 2 interviews now with Frank Warren, and he said the fight's going in the right direction. There's just a few things they need to iron out. What are the few things? Tell us what are they. Is it the venue? Is it the money? Is it the dates? Does Tyson Fury need a longer time to prepare for the fight? Has Alexander Usyk got some sort of an injury? Has Tyson Fury recovered from an elbow injury that they said after? Just tell us what it is so we can have an understanding of what the actual problem is. This is the problem I have with these promoters is they don't give us they don't give us the inside scoop. Just tell us what the main problem is, and then we can sort of understand why the fight's not happening. And then we can sort of think to ourselves, right, if that is the sort of last hurdle, let's just be patient.
Yeah.
I think that there's something going on behind the scenes that they're not letting on. I think Tyson Fury's got an injury. They've talked about an elbow injury after the Derrick Chisora fight. If Tyson Fury is injured, just say he's injured.
Yep, and we can move on from that.
Final one to talk about next weekend at the Wembley Arena. Anthony Yarde, Judgment Day, as he takes on
the Beast from the East,
Artur Beterbiev for the unified light heavyweight titles of the world. Fortunately, I won't be there because I'll be in a different country, and no, Ron will not be able to do a reaction podcast, which is a bit of a shame, Ron, because you do get paid enough by us. You're on a high-paid contract. Only joking. Ron's not earning anything, by the way, just so you guys know before you start handing me.
What's your take on that fight? What do you think is going to go?
What we spoke about a few weeks ago on the last pod. He's got to be able to survive the ferocious power of Beterbiev because Beterbiev's wins are all by knockout, and he's got to end the fight quickly.
He can't go into the later rounds.
No, because he's gone into the later rounds twice and he's lost.
And he's gassed out. He's kind of... You can see he's not there. I hope his conditioning's a lot better this time.
I think it will be.
Because he needs a plan B, C, D, E, F, all the way to the out.
Is this the time for Anthony Yarde? Is his time now?
Was this his second world title shot, isn't it? He had against Kovalev, which I thought he was 10
seconds away from winning that fight. Another
God,
10 seconds.
What round was it where he had him really on the ropes, but he kind of put everything out there? He was emptied out after that round. I like to think Anthony Yarde can come back. How old is he now, Anthony Yarde?
30s, I think.
Yeah, so you look at that division. I mean, Beterbiev. He's not going to be around forever. What is he, 36, 37 now?
Bivol.
You got Bivol. Them two are going to fight for all
Callum Smith.
Callum Smith in that division. But, there's some really good fights there. I mean, even looking at the British level.
Are you confident on Saturday night, next Saturday night he wins?
No. I just think Beterbiev's got too much for him. I think that experience being in big fights, and he's just got that old school ruggedness about him.
I believe Beterbiev won his first world title in his 12th professional fight. But one I wouldn't say it's a positive, but one thing that he needs to take from is Callum Johnson's proven Beterbiev can be hurt.
Can be hurt, but
And
then he can come back as well.
I remember when I interviewed Callum Johnson in lockdown, he said that he just kind of froze after knocking him down. I mean, we've all seen Anthony Yarde's got the power to do it.
Oh, he's got ferocious
trademark.
power, yeah.
It's the beast from the east, as he likes to call himself.
It's going to be interesting.
How do you set Anthony Yarde up on Saturday night? What's your game plan if you're in the corner?
I got, what do you do? Do you fight on the outside? Do you want him to kind of come in and, you land a few combinations and step back out? Do you want to, you don't really want to fight on the inside with this guy. This guy is known for his knockout power. They got a real job on their hands. Is he still with the same trainer?
Yeah.
So I think they need to really, really think about how they approach this. That jab is going to be really important. It's going to be really vital. Kind of just set everything off on that. And that conditioning, I hope it's on point this time round as well. Like it's going to be, he's going to be thinking about fighting 12 rounds. This is a championship fight. Not thinking, we've said the only way he wins is if he blows him out early. Do you reckon? Okay, let me ask you a question. Do you think Anthony Yarde would have won if the fight would have gone beyond 5 rounds against Lyndon Arthur? What round did it finish in? Three. But if it went beyond that,
it would have.
Do you reckon
he would have? I always said he was going to win the rematch.
He was going to win the rematch.
I always said he was going to, because I mean, you got to remember, Ron. The guy lost his father and his grandfather.
It was horrible for him, wasn't it? Yeah.
It was not, I don't think he should never have fought, because I don't think it was. I don't think it was the right time for him to fight. If I was a professional boxer, and me and you, we've both lost our fathers. We know how much toll it takes, but to lose a grandparent as well.
Yeah. All on top of each other.
I would have said, I need to take time away and just sort of recover.
Credit to him.
He took the fight, he lost, rematch, come back, and he needed to win that.
And he's won recently as well.
Yes, up in Telford, yeah.
And I think I'm glad he did that, and he got himself.
I like Yarde, man. I mean,
I really hope.
I hope he does it. But
he's one of the early faces of lights out boxing as well. I remember one of your intro videos of him.
He gave us. He always
gives us a lot of love, man.
I've got a lot of time for him, but I just think Beterbiev, in my opinion, is a beast
from the east.
Yeah. So, final prediction.
I just think Beterbiev by stoppage.
I think Beterbiev
late stoppage.
Late between 8 and 10. I'm gonna go around 10 stoppage.
Yeah.
But listen, we back our British fighters.
No, I mean, I want Yarde. I mean, it might not be this might not be his moment, but he can come. If he was to lose, he can definitely come back.
100%.
He's young enough,
and
he's
they are not bad names to have on your record
to lose against Kovalev. I mean, we know how good he was, and obviously he's corrected that wrong against Lyndon Arthur. As boxing.
But listen, he could do it. You don't know. He could do it.
No, not going to rule that out either. But I think the heavy favourite is Beterbiev for good reason. And as boxing fans, we want to see that fight, Beterbiev versus Bivol.
Well, guys, make sure you leave us your thoughts in the comment section on how Anthony Yarde gets along against Artur Beterbiev. It'll be a very, very exciting fight. Best of luck to Anthony Yarde, and best of luck to all the other fighters that are featuring on the first Queensberry card of the year. Ron, podcast 60 has now come to an end.
60?
Podcast 60, yeah. You do know in podcast 70, you're leading it, right?
70?
Yes.
Bring it on.
Okay, Ron, a pleasure as always, mate. Once again, commiserations on another title.
What do you have to end it like that for?
Well, rubbed it in with me for the last 6 months. So fuck you, man. Yeah. But guys, once again, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share. Turn on the bell for further future lights out boxing content. And if you're in trouble with the law, I mean, we're only sponsored by the best out there in Spartans Law, and the links are below in the description. Check out their website. Check out our website. Ron up a great article.
Some really good articles, yeah.
Yes, and I spoke about how Eubank Jr. can't underestimate Liam Smith, and
that's what's happened.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay.
And guys, of course, if you want to listen to this podcast in the audio platforms, links are below in the description. Thank you very much for listening to podcast 60 of the
Lights Out
Boxing Podcast.